How India's poor grovel before the rich. His name is Balram. This was his first meeting with Ashok. To become his slave, Balram gambled away every penny he had. He began taking driving lessons, refusing to quit even when the instructor cursed and beat him, because he knew Ashok needed a driver. After completing his lessons, Balram immediately went to Ashok's house. Seeing Ashok and his father, he rushed over and began flattering them incessantly. But first, he had to test drive the car. In the vehicle, Balram kept promoting himself, claiming he didn't smoke or drink, could cook and make desserts, and wouldn't even demand wages. Finally, he won over Ashok's family and secured the job. In India, becoming a servant is the best path for the poor. But as a child, Balram never imagined becoming a servant. He was the most gifted kid in his class. Even the principal praised him, predicting he'd be wealthy someday. The school was even willing to fund his education in Delhi. But soon, Balram dropped out. His family was too poor to pay rent. Soon after, his father died in poverty and illness. At the funeral, Balram saw his father's feet, burned and curled. The sight terrified the young boy into unconsciousness. It was then, Balram suddenly realized, if he stayed in the village, he'd end up like his father, a lifetime of drudgery, yet saving barely a penny. He'd be exploited and humiliated by the landlords, sickened by the grind by middle age, cast aside by the landlords with nothing, and finally die of illness. Balram didn't want that. He watched his older brother marry and have children in his teens, then keep having more, crushed flat by the pressure of supporting a family. Having been educated, Balram refused to accept such a fate, so he thought of becoming a slave to the rich. After starting the job, Balram donned the uniform of a servant and felt incredibly proud. But he soon discovered he was only assigned menial tasks: washing carpets, polishing cars, cleaning chandeliers. Every day was backbreaking labor. To climb the ranks, he had to keep groveling, so Balram began massaging his old master's feet. It was grueling work. Massage too hard and he'd be beaten. Massage too lightly and he'd be beaten. Yet even when he massaged the old master to perfection, no bonus awaited him. His sole reward was the chance to drive young Master Ashok on errands to Delhi. Even in the big city, Balram remained a slave. He rode the freight elevator upstairs, glimpsing the master's presidential suite with awe,
Get this place cleaned up.
before retreating to his own dilapidated basement quarters. But he felt no sense of injustice, for he had become a slave through and through. Even when Ashok called him to play games, he'd sit on the floor by himself, afraid of soiling the sofa. Yet his enslavement didn't earn him kinder treatment from his masters, only harsher cruelty. One day, while serving tea to Ashok's wife Pinky, she publicly scolded him for being filthy and foul.
All day just
For the first time, Balram began to question himself. Why be a slave? It was also the first time he learned that people should brush their teeth, should change their clothes, things his parents had never taught him. Something began to grow inside Balram. He went to the night market and bought toothpaste, bought clothes, and finally bought a pair of shoes. It was the first time in his life he'd spent money on himself. He fell in love with that feeling, the feeling of taking control of his destiny, of becoming a person again.